Work hard. Be somebody. Be something more than what you see in the mirror. Let the world be your mirror. Don't let them judge you, because the mirror can't judge you. You judge what you see in the mirror.
YouTube is Tyreek Knight. If you don't know, I'm about to be reacting to this video called Professor Reacts to how good is Professor actually for our video. And should Professor be in the NBA, and does he carry? So basically, like, Professor, if you don't know Professor, you should know Professor. He's man one legend, just pure entertainment, just watching him break someone's ankles, ship somebody, like, he does that for a living. Like, he does that. So he's just reacting to his old highlights. I haven't seen it. I've seen some of his old highlights, but I haven't seen like a full video of it. This is 22 minutes, so I'm kind of interested in what this video is gonna show me. So yeah, I'm about to get into this video.
First time. It's interesting. He said how good was the Professor, since I'm still playing. But it's all good. You know, maybe he only knew me from ESPN or whatever. And the guy didn't seem like he was really like hating in this video. He was just laying his context of what he thought in this situation based on what he could find on the internet and his own personal opinion. So should be a fun watch. Let's get into it.
So the Professor is probably the most famous street ball player ever. I remember being 10 years old watching his Antoine mixtapes, and I'm Irish. They don't show much basketball over here, and I know for a fact me and a lot of my friends knew who this guy was. So that's how big of a deal this guy was 10 years ago.
I can appreciate the fact he was a supporter. I'm bummed that he keeps saying was, because I still play right now. I feel like I'm in the prime of my career. But I think he's just referring to like the and one era was, and that's when he used to keep up. But I like that he was a supporter. I appreciated that. I didn't take this as a diss video. Some people sent me this when it first came out on some like, you got to check out this diss, but I didn't take this as a diss.
Live YouTube channel and his viral Spider-Man basketball series. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about how good the Professor was.
Okay, so he does tune in current day.
Because a lot of the things I'm seeing on social media shows that there's two extremes. There's one group of people that say he should be in the NBA and he'd be a star in the NBA. And then there's another group of people that say
it reminds me of Jason Williams, to be honest.
Anywhere, and is a bad basketball
Not because he's white,
even bad
it's the way he plays.
Just bad, straight up bad at basketball.
That's accurate. Two extremes for sure.
Practice 4 to 8 hours a day of basketball was usual. And until his senior year in high school, didn't play at all. Because he was 5 foot tall and 80.
Okay, so that's not true. I played all through school. Played in high school. I got cut from the varsity team when I was a junior in high school, and I played on the JV team. And then I transferred to a smaller Christian school with only 300 kids my senior year to get a chance to play varsity basketball in hopes of getting a scholarship. So I definitely played all years of my childhood, you know, from preschool, 2 years old, all the way up until senior in high school. So he doesn't know, he's getting off, you know, he's going on Wikipedia or like reading bios and articles. It's not always accurate.
The coach didn't even pick for the varsity team. Which, to be honest, you can kind of see why a lot of coaches wouldn't do that. He actually transferred school for his senior year of high school, where he actually got all state honors.
Okay.
But with him being extremely undersized and graduating from a small school, he didn't receive any college offers. He ended up as a walk-on at a local junior college and got very little playing time. But he did make massive strides and improved a lot in that year. After his freshman year, he tried out for the Anvil Mixtape Tour and actually made the team. He got the nickname Professor for schooling people on the tour as the underdog. Back in the mid-2000s, the Anvil Mixtape Tour was huge. As I said, I remember watching this as a 10-year-old in a country where basketball was never shown. That's how big.
Wow, it's pretty cool to think that, like, back then, you know, our ESPN show for me was the equivalent of YouTube because it expanded. You know, ESPN was in so many different countries, or still is in so many different countries. So to think that, like, during that time period, somebody in Ireland was watching our show is kind of a trip for me because, you know, we did tour internationally. We saw a lot of the momentum worldwide, but I never would have been thinking, like, people in Ireland were tuning into this, regardless of me even seeing in different countries. So that's a trip.
No, that's crazy.
That's how much of an impact street ball had back then. After the Anvil Mixtape Tour
Super shifty.
died out, he went to acting, where he was
Well, he is
actually
super shifty.
semi-pro. Yeah, he was the opposing point guard for San Antonio Spurs in the last game.
Interesting that he would even actually know that. I was an extra in the movie Semi-Pro with Will Ferrell, Woody Harrelson, and Andre 3000. But what he doesn't know is that was actually during And One. So the And One that was on ESPN was from 03 to 2008. Okay, so about a 5-year stretch where it was on ESPN. I actually played for And One until 2010 and just one-off global games the last couple years. But I didn't leave street ball for acting. I was doing acting with street ball during And One. So I shot Semi-Pro in like 2007. We were still a couple ways from And One going off of ESPN at that point. And the reason I did it is because also I had the opportunity to play a lead role in the movie Ball Don't Lie. This feature had a great A-list cast, cool story, but it never actually released. Never got distribution. So I was dabbling in acting because opportunities were coming my way. With the Semi-Pro thing, I just went out and tried out for that randomly at an audition. So, just trying to give it a little clarity. He's just going off what he knows off Wikipedia and the internet.
Also started his own movie, Ball Don't Lie. But after that, his fame kind of died down.
Yeah,
True story.
So he's capping the whole video.
Viral video in 2013,
It's just-
Spider-Man Basketball. That video has over 35 million views this time in his video.
So just some clarity, when And One got bought out in 2006, it got bought out by a bigger company. An older couple had bought it. They owned like 6 other brands. They didn't know much about basketball, and they definitely didn't know that the brand was kind of built off street ball.
Okay.
So when the popularity of And One died out was because they finished out the tour until 2008, and then they took it off ESPN. And so from my understanding, ESPN wanted to continue. That was my understanding. I'm not sure if that was accurate, but they chose to go a different route. Instead of marketing street ball, they marketed NBA. And they put less dollars into the summer tour, but the economy was at a low in 2008, 2009. So it was understandable that they would take dollars out of it. I have no feeling towards that, even though some of the players that played with me did. But anyway, just to put a little clarity as to why my popularity and One's popularity died out, is because it went off of ESPN. So then people had no way to keep up with us, but I did have a little digital following because I had always been on Facebook, YouTube. It was MySpace back then, and then when Instagram started, I got on there. So that sort of bridged the gap for me as far as a business and career in between And One and what I do now.
His YouTube channel, Professor Live, has 1.7 million subscribers and has gotten over 350 million views.
Video's a little old. It
Professor
says 1.7. It's different now. We have 2.4, but
and is arguably the most
Video came out months ago.
basketball player that's never played in the NBA. But the
That's a
question
compliment.
is, how
Appreciate
good
that.
is the Professor? Is the Professor good enough to play in the NBA, or was he ever good enough to play in the NBA? No. Straight up, no. The Professor is extremely undersized. And what
I would disagree with that on certain levels, but the thing is, NBA wasn't in my sights after about 2008. So for me, trying to make the NBA was tough, right? Because I got on And One, and at the time, street ball had a bad connotation. So like current day, a lot of like NBA players, they followed me ever since they were in high school, and they got a lot of respect for what I do. And they're young, you know. I'm in my 30s now, so I meet some of these players. They're like 10, 12, 13 years, maybe sometimes 14 years younger than me. So they'll have respect and high esteem for what I do. Even assistant coaches in the NBA I know that are friends of mine. So it's different now. Today, back then when I was trying to make it, it was regarded as a bad thing. I think old school basketball fundamentalists, people in the NBA, you know, scouts and things, they looked at it as something different than a pro circuit basketball. So the And One Mixtape Tour wasn't a resume to get you in the NBA. Rayford Alston, a.k.a. Skip to My Lou, who was one of my favorite players of all time, great street ball player, kind of like birthed the And One movement. He ended up going to the NBA from playing And One, but the thing is, he still went the regular basketball route. He just played street ball during the summers. So he played high school, he played JUCO, he went D1, and he got drafted. So he didn't just go from And One to the NBA. Okay, so And One wasn't a resume. As a matter of fact, for him, it was a scar on his resume, and he had to really tighten up his skills and really overcome his street ball reputation in order to fit the mold where the NBA would actually exist. There's no possible way he could have gone to NBA. It was true. I didn't have a route. I played in the IBL when I was 20 years old, and then I played in the CBA, which is the old D League. So it was the equivalent of the G League now, it's called actually. It was called the CBA, Continental Basketball Association. So I made it up until that level, right below the league. But what I realized is that the politics were so against me because of me playing street ball, and because of my size, it was going to be really hard to even get an opportunity to prove myself. So when I did play in the CBA, I put up great numbers. Some games I had 18-7, some I had 24-5. I had some good numbers, but the thing was, I only started when the starting point guard was injured on this team I was playing for. And then when he came back, I got replaced immediately because they just really weren't confident in me being the starting point guard on the squad just because of my size and my reputation. So it was very political. And I realized if I was going to make the NBA, I would have had an opportunity, but I would have had to like go overseas and go this really long route to hopefully finally make a roster by the time I'm in my mid to late 20s. But it's like if you just make a roster in your mid to late 20s, like you're not going to have much of a career that people are going to care about. You might make some money, but for me, it's about legacy. I do this for passion. So I had realized at that point, this was 2007 or 8, I had realized that I had already built something in street ball, and there was a following behind it. So I wanted to be different and go in this different route and brand digitally and lead a global movement, carrying my own style of basketball and inspiring people globally through the game. And I felt like that was God's plan for my life, you know, because the NBA, like this guy said, it was bars up. I didn't have a chance to get in there. Now, could I have played like skill-wise? Like, would I have been able to maybe the last like 4 or 5 years? I think skill-wise, I could fit a roster, but that's just my opinion. You know what I mean? And it doesn't even matter because that's not what I'm striving for. And I don't ever be the guy to say I should have been in the NBA because it hasn't been my aim for more than 10 years. And it's always going to be subjective, right? Until somebody actually plays or puts a jersey on is on a roster, you won't know if they can compete at that level because it's never been done. So my personal opinion is, yes, I can compete at that level. Not saying an all-star, not saying even a starter, but I think I could be on a roster skill-wise. This guy saying no possible way. A lot of people would tell you, like he said, I'm not even good at basketball, period. Some people would say I could play college ball. I read some comments. Somebody said I couldn't play D1. So it's interesting, you know what I mean? I was always a late bloomer. My skill progression has always gone up each year. One of the things I pride myself on, even being in my 30s now, is that I get better every year. So I feel like today, at my current age, 34 years old, I was way better than I was at 33. At 33, I was way better than I was at 32, and that's what I try to pride myself on, is always improving steadily. But I've always been a late bloomer. So interesting perspective this guy has.
Great shooter and great ball handler. He's not incredibly athletic, and to be honest, if he could have played in the NBA, he would. Is he good enough to play?
That's true.
Is he ever good enough to play in any of the major leagues in Europe or in any other country? Probably not. Probably not.
Fair enough. Everybody has their own opinion.
Even though, obviously, from these clips, you can see he carries the ball a lot with his dribbling. He does a lot of things that are illegal in refereed basketball.
Okay, so I disagree with this. I disagree with this point. Back in AND1 times, okay, street ball, when AND1 first started, street ball was just summertime basketball. It was either street ball is defined by many things, by many different people, okay? Some people define street ball as going to, Dykeman, these different parks in New York, some Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., Berry Farms. Some people define that as street ball. Other people in the current generation define AND1 as street ball, like it's its own genre. So originally, it was basketball outside of the NBA or like college structures. It was street ball. You play it on the street, whether it's a league or not. And it didn't have a separate connotation as having different rules. Now, certain players on the AND1 Mixtape Tour came in and set a new standard because illegal moves were popular at the time, okay? The ringleader of that was a guy by the name of Hot Sauce. He was one of my favorite players of all time. Hot Sauce was awesome. But he did moves that were illegal, and he was so popular and he changed the game so much globally that I think it became ingrained in people's minds that street ball was actually a different game with different rules. Okay? Now, for me personally, I had a couple moves that are carry, okay, that we did back then that I don't do anymore. And even current day, I would say I only have, in my opinion, there's only like 2 moves that I do that are questionable carry. And that's when I flip it over somebody's shoulder, okay? If they're guarding me close, I flip it over their shoulder so that they'll turn around and think I put it behind them. Or maybe like moves like the crazy legs. I don't think the crazy legs is a carry, but it's an arguable carry because it would look very unconventional if you did it in an organized game. The ref might just think it's a carry based on how it looks. It looks a little funny, right?
Crazy
because it's innovative. People don't do it. But to me, I believe 90 to 95% of all my moves are legal. I know you can read comments. People have this to say and that to say. But as far as I can see, by my evaluation, knowing the game inside and out, studied the craft for 15 years professionally and my whole life, I don't believe I carry 95% of the time. If there are a couple, I believe they're just arguable. But again, it comes down a lot of this is opinion, you know what I mean? I read the rule book, but it's like the opinion of the ref, of the viewer. It's all subjective.
On games, which is so much more than you would have had as a regulated basketball player. You had a 13-year professional streetball career. You got to play in over 40 countries.
Okay, my career's been going on for 15 years. I started playing in 2003. Here we are, 2018. We're still going. My career's not over. I feel like I'm at the prime of my career. Played in over 40 countries, and that's still continuing as we go. Who do I play for? I play for Professor Live, all over the world. I'm starting my own movement called Global Hooper. And I play for the Court Kings global streetball organization as well. So we still play. That's one thing I didn't like about this video. It was all like past tense. I don't know if it's because he ain't watched videos of Professor Live and he thinks I'm done, or for him it just wasn't as big a deal as it was back then. I don't know. Just wanted to clarify that.
And even today, he still plays in exhibition games.
Okay, so he knows I'm still playing. That's cool.
And still posts videos on YouTube that a lot of the time get millions of views.
These were exhibition games too, so it's no different.
If the professor wanted to play professionally, he probably could. But he's making more money and probably enjoys what he's doing more right now. And
that's a true story. I believe right now I'm doing what's God's plan for my life. I believe my God-given passion was basketball. I believe my God-given gift was playing the game, emulating people ball handling. I obviously have a gift for that from God, and I believe my purpose is to inspire people globally with the game and to glorify God through that. So that's why I continue to do it. That's my career.
Okay.
the career path he took was the correct one.
See that?
As a small, not particularly athletic player, even though he could shoot, he would have been in one of the lower leagues in Europe. But he managed to make himself almost a household name. He managed to inspire people, and he managed to get a lot more money and also a lot more fame out of what he's doing at the minute and what he has been doing for the last 10 years. So how good was the professor? Pretty good. To make it pro anywhere, you've got to be pretty good at basketball.
True story.
While I don't think he was anywhere near making an NBA team, he still was an extremely good basketball player. Just because you're
that was nice of this guy. That's why I appreciate it. He wasn't hating. It's just his opinion.
Every single player in the NBA is a good basketball player. Every single professional player in every single league in the world is a good basketball.
I like Professor's
That's true.
attitude. He's
Tell
not
you
like
something
taking disrespect.
Then you
He's
probably never
taking it
played
as his
basketball
opinion.
anywhere but the local
He
brand.
might not be
So anyway,
pretty
that's the video.
knowledgeable
Thanks for
with
watching.
certain
Please
things
like,
he's saying.
comment, and subscribe.
You'll probably like learn from the video of Professor.
All right, so cool
and
video. You know, I really appreciate the guy, being a supporter, just laying his own personal opinion and perspective on it. And it was just interesting reading these comments. As I scroll down right here, as you can see my screen, some of these comments. That you've got, some love right here. Never heard of this guy before. Professor's amazing. Something like straight out film like Kent Jen. That's cool. Talking about my clothes in 2003. That used to be popular back in the early 2000s. Baggy everything. Late 90s, early 2000s. That was the hip hop style. So street ballers can't play ball in the NBA because they carry the ball. This is not true. That's just his opinion. Him knowing that people in the genre have carried before. I think Professor is a lot more skilled than many players in the NBA. He just doesn't have a natural build of frame. That's nice. It's interesting people talk about my frame and size being an issue. There's been players shorter than me been in the NBA. You talk about Nate Robinson, Spud Webb, Muggsy Bogues. They did definitely outweigh me, though. I think having a wide base definitely helps a lot. So for me, having a thin base, meaning like my butt and my upper legs, it would be hard to match up defensively. I definitely agree with that. Then this guy, Jeff F, says, anyone who even remotely thinks he could play in the NBA knows nothing about basketball. He couldn't play D1 basketball. Do people realize the minimum rookie salary in the NBA is currently $815,000? No, it's not. That's not true. The minimum is like $300,000 or $400,000. Oh, that's the minimum veteran salary. The minimum veteran salary, $1.4 million a year. Okay, I don't know if that's accurate, but the minimum NBA salary is like $300,000 or $400,000. It's not $850,000. The notion that there are street ball players choosing not to play in NBA is just comical. Well, not entirely. Not entirely. I could have still chased that down if I wanted to. And I think I could have maybe came close to making a roster, but I did choose not to. So that's not entirely true. One guy made it, Rafer Alston, a.k.a. Skip to My Lou, played JC, then a year of D1, wasn't drafted. He was 1,000 times better than this guy. Well, I don't debate you that Skip was a better player in the conventional game. I definitely don't disagree with that. But also, you should know that he was drafted. And he played 2 years at JC and 2 years at D1. And he was an incredible player. So people always have like mixed perspective. They don't know all the facts when they make these assumptions. This man lives up to his name as a street baller, been a professional in basketball. You don't have to go to the NBA to be a pro basketball player. You can see it's a different route. That was nice of him.
Yep.
Size doesn't matter. Muggsy Bogues played NBA ball, and he is way better than Bogues ever was. That's really nice of this guy. I would say Muggsy Bogues is an incredible player. He's underrated, actually. It's only 5'3" in the NBA. NBA players should be glad he wasn't 6'2". Okay, so a lot of people are showing love on here. I did read a few that were funny that just were way off. His moves are not illegal. I appreciate the pro assassin Joker supporting. That's nice of him. He's not even a great ball handler. He just practiced street ball moves to fake people out. There's a difference between fancy dribbling and being a truly great ball handler. Professor is actually quite sloppy with the basketball. I find that interesting. Barnaby Dodd. Actually, NBA players ask me all the time if I'll train them for ball handling. D1 players as well. And if you think I'm sloppy with the basketball, I don't even know where you would get that viewpoint. But you know what? All respect. Everybody has the right to an opinion. He's clearly athletic. Not sure where you guys keep saying this. Appreciate it. Yeah. Anyway, interesting comments. Shout out to B-Ball Daily. Definitely subscribe to B-Ball Daily. Appreciate the love on this video. And I appreciate the perspective and the opinion. And I'll definitely subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you guys for tuning in. More reaction videos coming soon. God bless.
So yeah, that's it for the video. Honestly, with this video, like all I took in with this video, like Professor was good. I didn't know he was in the CBA. I didn't know he played the D-League for a bit, and he had a game 22 and 14. Like that shows that he could have played in NBA. Like he could have been playing professionally, and he would have been going to work. Like his skill set was good enough for the NBA. He could play in that setting. I'm pretty sure he wasn't getting called for carries. He would have said it if that happened. But like I feel like once you're playing in that set, like you know how to turn it off and turn it on. So I feel like Professor is a great player, and he could have been in the NBA. And I can see that Professor probably could have played in the NBA because Jason Williams is like a player like that. He has a similar build. I don't know if he was taller than Jason Williams or if he was shorter than him, but they have the same type of build, same type of skill set. I feel like he would have been the same type of player. So yeah, I feel like he definitely could have played in the NBA. Hearing that he played in the D-League and he was going to work for a bit when he was starting for a bit, I feel like he could have did some damage. But if y'all want me to react to some more videos like this, let me know in the comments, and like, comment, subscribe, share, and I'm out.